During a time of conflict, intergroup conflict or war, we found in particular that masculine faces were preferred overall. Now that was masculine faces regardless of the actual biological sex or gender of the actual individual face, meaning that when we put a masculine female face next to a feminine male face, people still preferred a masculine face. Conversely then, if we look at sort of keeping the peace between groups, people seem to prefer more feminine looking faces. Again, we find that if you put a feminine male face against a masculine female face, we still find the same thing where the feminine male face is preferred over the masculine female.
Yeah, but what is a masculine face and what is a feminine face?
Masculinity and femininity in much of the research around has things such as a brow line is an indication of cue for masculinity. Lips, nose, jaw lines being wider can be seen as being masculine. A more protruding brow can be seen as more masculine. Squint to your eyes can be more masculine. Thinner lips, a broader nose. And then if you take the converse of that, then you see more fuller open eyes, fuller lips. These sorts of things can project a more feminine-looking face.
Oh, so if we were to break this down for the non-researcher, it's basically that people prefer a tough-looking fellow during times of war and perhaps a more subtle features during peacetime. Is that it?
Right. So it's what these masculine cues may have evolved to project. Things like a more masculine-looking person. There's been research to show that a more masculine-looking person also seems to have higher levels of testosterone. Likewise, some research has shown that higher levels of testosterone may predispose somebody to be slightly more aggressive or dominant. So you can see this connection there between sort of a more latent hormonal makeup and how that might manifest in the face.
Okay, let's look at some of the world leaders. For
Sure.
example, Angela Merkel, the
Yes.
German chancellor, masculine or feminine face?
We haven't really done much research on any of this, actually, so this is more speculative on my part, but I did have a chance to look at her face for some upcoming research. And just eyeballing it, it would appear that she has a neutral to perhaps slightly masculine face. This may have what aided her during the G20 convention, or meeting, excuse me, when she took a more hardline tactic in terms of negotiation. So this more masculine face may have worked well with her strategy of this playing hardball, i.e. she may have had a good poker face and she sold it well.
Nicolas Sarkozy, for example.
Right. So Sarkozy, on the other hand, again, I don't know how to have any data to support this, but perhaps he may have a more feminine-looking face. And this may, I believe he did mention the fact that he threatened to walk out if some of his interests weren't met. And from the media that I saw, it seems like people weren't taking this overly seriously. So he took a hard line here, and perhaps it wasn't taken seriously because his poker face wasn't good enough, as it were.
So in the final analysis, perhaps some advice for would-be politicians. If you are a more masculine-looking politician in peacetime, perhaps you're saying you should ditch the backdrop of a fighter jet and a tank and trade that in for maybe floral shirts or something?
Oh, no, absolutely not. If you're a more masculine individual during a time of peace, what you would really want to do is, and this is something John McCain I don't think really did very well, is perhaps focus more on the conflicts that are faced around the world to try to influence the followership base to have more of a perception in the world of conflict rather than of peace. And conversely, if you have a more feminine-looking face, you should really accentuate issues about keeping the peace rather than worrying about the conflict.